Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to the Intermish, the show where it's literally the length of an NHL intermission where we discuss teams, memes, trades, picks, and you know what? This is me. This whole video is just me when I go out with my friends.
Barky!
In the wee hours of the morning, 5 players, including Barkov and Marchand, were seen walking out of 11 in downtown Miami at 5 this morning.
Anyway, raise your hand if you have no clue who's on your team. Raise your hand if one of your favorite players got traded. Now raise your hand if you had an unfortunate trade happen to your team. I'm so far safe. Knock on wood. But today, I know this is the most unflattering angle ever, and I'm sideways, and I'm like, but my mic receiver got left on last week, and I got way too drunk and forgot that I had to film. That is going to get fixed. Anyway, so today, for all you Caniacs out there, we're not talking about the chicken. We're talking about the Carolina Hurricanes, and every time I do a shot, I do it to their goal song, but to be quite honest with you, their goal song does internally make me cringe a little bit, so we're just gonna do it to this, to which I say, yeah. Okay. So basically in the 70s, there were two hockey organizations. There was the WHA, the World Hockey World Hockey Association, and the NHL. And one day I'm going to tell the tale of how that happened. But for now, we're talking about Canes. Canes, y'all. We're talking about the Carolina Hurricanes. No, we're talking about the North Carolina Hurricanes, who were originally not the Hurricanes. They were formed in 1971 as the Hartford Whalers. And I don't know why y'all are so bitter. Like, and by y'all, I mean white straight men who only follow Barstool Sports, which sucks. That's right, you just got mished. And it's like you just got dadded.
You've been dadded!
However, they saw immediate success in terms of, like, you know, team production. In terms of the team was very successful. In terms of commercial, they could barely draw a crowd. And you're probably like, Megan, why is that? And I will tell you, audience. So if you look at this map, Connecticut is right up in here. Now, where is the Boston area? This is the New England, Boston area. See, the problem with deciding that you're going to oversaturate a market is that you're oversaturating a market. Now, I may be a little tipsy and a little drunk, but I know damn well when you don't oversaturate a market. And that's what they had decided to do in the 70s with the Hartford, Connecticut Whalers. Like, the New England Whalers. The Boston Bruins, being an original 6 team, they're not going to make them relocate. Like Boston said, good luck, babe. Like Chapel Rowan's Good Luck, Babe literally played, and they were like, bye-bye. But Hartford was at the time the smallest market, where the area, once again, there were so many EHL, CHL, a lot of Chells were already there. And Boston and the Rangers had already taken, up stock in people's lives, and they were already a household name. And they were original 6. And what was the NHL going to do? Make an original 6 team move? I mean, come on.
Come on!
Also, they had the smallest arena. Like, the Hartford Civic Center could fit under 16,000 people. They also had really bad off-season problems where, like, it was just salary related. A lot of players wanted what they were owed and what they were due, and a lot of people couldn't pay that up due to the fact that no one was showing up. And then in 1994, the Whalers were apparently supposed to stay in like Connecticut and in Hartford. Well, Connecticut and Hartford are the same things. Anyway, they were supposed to stay in Hartford, Connecticut up until however, there were stadium disagreements because they wanted a new stadium that could fit, over 16,000 people. But unfortunately, you can kiss 100 boys in love. This is a shot. And then I have that and come on, baby, light my fire. And then break it through the other side. Time to run, time to hide. Break on through to the other side. You think they would enunciate more? Same with like Take Me Down to Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? But he's talking about like Roku City where the grass is purple and the women are purple. Anyway, fuck, I am drunk. Okay, but they were supposed to stay through like in Connecticut through 1998. But then he said, JK, never mind, 1997, Peter Kamanos announced, hey, we're going to Raleighwood, baby. Woo! And the problem with that was there was no stadium. And per the league, you have to have a stadium when you become an NHL team. When you become an NHL #franchise, #TM trademark, you have to have a stadium. It is blisteringly hot in this room, by the way. This is the room with the least air conditioning. And I'm doing this for you, the viewer. So instead of Raleighwood, they moved, displacing a popular favorite team, bitching that the Whalers were renamed the Hurricanes with the... Wait, can we talk about how I thought that said bitching? Ditching the name the Whalers, to which, once again, white men who like support Barstool and live in Hartford, Connecticut and are still butthurt about this, I'm begging you to please just get over it, babe. You were born way too late to care about this. And it's not it is the league's fault because they decided that they were going to allow another team to oversaturate an already saturated market with the Rangers, the Pens, the Flyers, the Bruins. Like, when you look at it realistically, and they make fun of the Canes, we'll get to that later, whatever. Ditching the Whalers name, they were then renamed to the Carolina Hurricanes, which is a natural phenomenon that does happen in Carolina, whether north or south. Unfortunately, the Carolina Hurricanes colors were then, due to the fact that its proximity to the NSU campus, North Carolina State, they represent the Wolf Pack. Ow. Anyway, they weren't really welcome because they kind of like displaced an already popular like fan favorite franchise, which is kind of like a Southern typical thing to do. Like, hey, you took away something we really love. We're gonna bitch about it for a little bit, and cause you not to be successful. They barely drew a crowd also because hockey wasn't primarily popular in the South, because when you think of the South, it doesn't necessarily scream hockey, except Florida. By the way, Florida does not count as the South. Florida is the Australia of America, and it is its own entity. It will be a cold day in hell when you catch me down at Sunrise, I tell you what. Anyway, that season, they moved to, at some point, the new arena in Raleigh, and they were, at that point in time, established as the only major professional sports team in Raleigh, North Carolina. The season had some trades that year, and it foreshadowed, and in my opinion, the whole first season in Raleigh in Greensboro kind of foreshadowed, a lot for this team. They did a trade which they received a young Rod Brind'Amour, to which, ladies, Gentlemen, protect your women. I mean, just like, I know I'm not supposed to like hypersexualize players. I know girls who do that. Anyway, yeah, like Rod Brendamore, babe, would 100%. Like, men, can you be real with yourselves real quick? He was a babe. Anyway, they then also created the Storm Squad, which was the first NHL cheer team ever. So you're welcome. So they walked so the Vegas cheerleaders and Gila Monster could run. So the Canes got the 8th playoff seed. However, the first round to the Devils went to a tie. They were the 10th team to come back from 3-0 ever in NHL history. And that was, I think, the year that the crowd finally dove in. Like, I don't know what was happening, if there were Bojangles tickets if there were Bojangles promotions or whatever, what have you. But they had, at that point, the loudest crowd. And I think because that they were counted out so early, being a playoff contention team, that the people of the South, the thing about the South is we are very much like Philadelphia, minus the WD batteries and minus the Santa Claus incident and minus the tush push. But we take up for our own. Like, that's the thing. You need to understand the things about the South. We take up for our own around here. And we were, and shit. And in that moment, despite losing, they were finally, I guess, baptized. It was their best home crowd. They lost, granted, but despite the loss, they were the loudest crowd, meaning Raleigh had officially accepted the Carolina Hurricanes. And in 2001-2006 era, with 2002, they beat the Caps for the division. They got their revenge against New Jersey, beating them in Game 6, because it became then the miracle at Molson. Jersey beating them in Game 6, because it became then the miracle at Molson.
They set up shot, Bates, Battaglia, back it goes for Sammy Kapanen. Inside, it's Ron Francis. Great pass, Hill scores! John Hill getting the pass from Ron Francis on the one-timer. Carolina stays put on the power play, and they finally beat Theodore. Now it's Brindamore over the line inside. Oleg Petrov is back defensively.
Carolina overtime goal, beating the Habs.
The face-off, it's lost by Lindsay. Valine shot. They score! Hey, what do you say? Nick Valine! The Carolina Hurricanes!
By a 13-3 margin. Also, in the Stanley Cup Finals, they played a little dynasty team called the Detroit Red Wings, and unfortunately, they had lost to the Detroit Red Wings. However,
I don't have any idea, but you can Google that.
it was like, I think, but were they
90.
really? No, it was like 2002, 2003. It was,
probably.
It was the year before the lockout. And then,
okay, so 2004, maybe 2003.
Who was on that team? Do you remember? I don't know.
Yzerman, Datsuk, Lidstrom. I think Dominic Hasek was the goalie. Along with maybe Osgood, maybe not. I don't know. I think who else was on there? Shanahan may have been on that team. McCarty was on that team. Draper.
But do you think in the next 2-3 years we'll see a Carolina Hurricanes Cup?
I don't know. I don't care.
My dad's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm sorry, Canes fans. He does care. But after the lockout, it finally freaking happened.
Williams is walking in on an open net and he won the Stanley Cup! Justin Williams has won the Stanley Cup for the Carolina Hurricanes! In all likelihood with an empty netter in 1859.
Your North Carolina Hurricanes were Stanley Cup champions. And even more importantly, they turned a profit for the first time since moving to Carolina. Where were we? After the lockout, it finally happened, but they made a profit. Okay, turn page. However, the thing about hitting the very top means you're going to hit the bottom. Unable to follow up with the success, they were on a downward spiral. They lost 4 players in free agency and 222 man games to injury. Yeah, a lot. It was needless to say a struggle to finish the season for the Carolina Hurricanes. However, in 2007-2008, a rivalry that already, in my opinion, had already been established since the moment the Hartford Whalers decided to settle in the North Carolina area, started the day they relocated. The Capitals missed out on the freaking playoffs. Basically, in the 2007-2008 season, they beat the Capitals in for a playoff spot. However, in 08-09, they fired Peter Laviolette. They acquired Jussi Jokinen, and they finished 6th in the conference with 97 points. And then Shock the Rock happened. Also, if you want to know how old Eric Stahl is, how old is he, Megan? He was Rod Brendamore's teammate. They fired Paul Maurice the year... They have literally fired. They fired Paul Maurice. They hired Kirk Mueller. And then in 2012, the year we all thought the world was going to end, they acquired another Stahl. Jordan Stahl. Yeah, I know. They're like you say Beetlejuice, and there's more of them. Notice how I didn't say that 3 times. With the decline in the playoff misses, and they had missed the playoffs since the first time in 08-09, they had missed the playoffs. With the decline, everyone was like, are they going to move? Oh my God, are the Carolina Hurricanes going to get moved? Oh my God, are they going to relocate? Hang on. And to that, I say, hang on. That's really fucking funny. Considering in 1996, the Arizona Coyotes became a franchise team. At that time, they were 15 years old, and so were the Canes. And yet, I didn't see any discussion about them relocating. Sips tea. Actually, sips vodka cran. They were in year 16. Actually... Actually, it was 1972. They were 52 years old, the Arizona Coyotes. They were 52 years old. They could have at least cut, Carolina Hurricanes, who were 15 at the time, some slack. But they were in a slump. After some coaching changes, once again, a lot of coaching changes, some new owners entered the villa. A whole front office makeover basically happened. And also Thomas Dundon signed the deal to keep the Carolina Hurricanes in Raleighwood and nowhere else. They were safe. He gave Ron Francis, by the way, what was essentially from what I've read, the Job Bluth of promotions, where, in 2018, Don Waddle was named GM, and then the prodigal son returned. Rod Brindamore basically became the coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. And in 2019, they made the playoffs for the first time, defeating the Devils, and the Storm Surge was born. Wrong one. Yes. The storm surge was born So basically, after they beat the Devils in the 2019 playoffs, Don Cherry of, Hockey Night in Canada proceeded to call the Carolina Hurricanes
They're jerks.
a bunch of jerks, which is really funny, Don Cherry. I don't believe I asked you on your opinion. And then bunch of jerks became a rallying cry, because if it's one thing about the South, we gonna take an insult and we gonna make it into a rally cry. Write that down. And I mean, the Carolina Hurricanes overall in general drafted absolute, like, bangers after bangers. Like, we had, Mr. And so
freaking out about this fucking lightning. I don't see any lightning. Good job. Oh shit.
Jarvis, we had Martinuk, we got Peter Kochekov, we have, well, they traded him. Shit. Anyway, despite the South not taking hockey seriously, the South has proven time and time again, excluding Florida and excluding Nashville, that we ain't nothing to mess with. We ain't nothing to mess with. Y'all heard? Yeehaw. As someone who is in Knoxville, Tennessee. But I think, like, in the next couple of years, we will see a Stanley Cup, Raleigh Wood style parade. We will see that parade happen. And next week, we're going to play Toss or Trade. And to be honest with you, I'll put the poll down below. Follow me on Twitter at the Intermish and at Megan Cates. Yeah, it's still Twitter. Also, Intermish t-shirts are going on sale, $15 pop. Venmo me, we'll get those out to you. Those are going to be made to order. But I'm going to go jump in the pool now. So, see ya.